Yay, we're live! I'm au naturel today because I've been moving a lot, so excuse my appearance. I literally just grabbed a little bit of blush and went, but I have nothing on. Hello, everyone! What's up, ladies? Hi, guys. This is a sweats and no makeup and hair is not done kind of a night, so. But we're friends, right? Girlfriends just hang out. We don't have to dress up for each other, which is good. We are in my new bedroom. As a lot of you know, we just moved, and the reason why I'm sitting on the floor is the bed is too soft for me to sit on, so I'm sitting on the carpet, and I have my notes kind of in front of me here, but it's a beautiful view. I love it so much. I'm very, very blessed, but I'm super excited. It's kind of fitting. It's my birthday, well, not anymore in the UK, but is in the US. Happy birthday, Elizabeth. Hi. Hello, everybody. All right, so, hi, Amy, I love you. I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. So a lot of you, I think every one of you follow my real account. And we moved this weekend. We moved on Saturday to pretty much like our dream spot, which is really exciting. However, Kellen, God is too good to us because Kellen booked a job in New York, so he's been there since last Thursday, and I've been like managing the move alone, which is totally fine. Oh, Kel, he just joined. I thought you were at a movie. Anyways, so we moved into this place. It's definitely not completely done. My mom is actually here in the other room. She's helping me set up the kitchen and get some things unpacked. And this is just how I've looked every day since. But it's all good. I miss you too, Kel. So anyways, I'm going to jump into this because the other funny thing is we moved into an older house, so we have no lighting in the ceilings. And I don't have lamps yet. So as soon as the sun goes down, it's dark, which is kind of funny. Kind of nice, though, because I actually went to bed at 9:30 last night, and then I woke up this morning at 6:30 when the sun came up. So it kind of worked out perfectly. But, okay, real quick before we start with this one thing I was going to tell you guys, because a lot of you, which really meant a lot to me, were wondering how you could watch last week's live. Either you missed it or wanted to watch it again. And I was trying to figure it out because Instagram limits your IGTV uploads to 10-minute videos, unless you're John Mayer or something. So I was like, well, shoot, do I do 6 10-minute videos in a row, or should I just upload to YouTube and do an hour long? And the unanimous decision was YouTube. So I haven't had a chance to do that yet because I've been moving, but this next week I will start posting the lives on YouTube and then just have the link in the bio, so if you want to watch it or if you miss it, you can watch it there, if that makes sense. Anyways, all right, so last week you guys were so sweet to like just kind of give me a free space to share, you know, my journey to Jesus, my journey to my relationship with God, which was super cool because not all of you and not all the girls that watched are Christians, but they still were so sweet and gave me such positive feedback, and I love that, and I love you all. But tonight, the overwhelming majority of you said, hey, let's talk about anxiety. And I was like, that gives me anxiety to talk about anxiety. But we're doing it anyway. So I actually have quite a history with it. I know a lot of people who don't really deal with anxiety. They don't deal with worry or that much stress. My husband being one of them. He's just not an anxious person when it comes to that kind of stuff. He's very confident, very self-assured. My other friend Amy, who's in here somewhere, same thing. Like, I have anxiety about asking someone to hang out because I go through all of the, well, what if they have something better to do? What if they feel obligated to hang out with me? What if they don't even want to hang out with me, but then they feel like they can't say no to me? And then I'm going to feel bad, and then we're going to end up getting together, and they're going to wish they were somewhere. You know what I mean? You go down the rabbit hole. Whereas there are other people that are like, I'm freaking the bomb. Like, why wouldn't someone want to hang out with me? If they do, it's their problem. And I'm like, I'm always the problem. So that's a little backstory into me. I know that that's not the healthy way of thinking. That's okay. I'm getting over it. But I thought I would share with you guys a little bit. I'm going to set the phone down here. Again, I'm on the floor in my room because we don't have furniture. Well, we have a bed, but we don't have a lot of furniture, and we don't have tables and all that kind of stuff. So I hope you're cool with the chill vibe. But anyway, so I was not an anxious child at all. I was pretty carefree, happy, go lucky, had a great time. I think it was more in high school. In high school is when it kind of started to get a little bit more like, oh, this is a real feeling. This isn't just like, you know, you hear, I feel like it's a lot more of a, especially with social media, there's a lot of words that kind of get thrown around and I think are used maybe a little too loosely and out of context. And then there are words that are used so often that they kind of actually lose the impact that they have and that what they actually represent. So for me, I mean, anxiety is one of those words right now. I think we can all kind of agree that everyone's talking about anxiety. Everyone has anxiety. It's almost like a funny thing that we have anxiety. Oh, I need a glass of wine. I need a cocktail. That's not normal. That's not okay. Like, culture has made it normal. But if you really, really deal with anxiety, if you've ever felt like you've dealt with anxiety, you know that it's not fun. It's not something to look forward to so that you can like have a drink to calm down. It's just not, it's not a fun thing. When I used to get, I had my first anxiety or panic attack when I was a senior in high school. Also, I didn't say this off the bat, but I feel I have to, just because that's the world we live in. I'm not a doctor. I'm not prescribing anything. I'm not diagnosing anything. All that I'm going to share with you is just my own personal story with anxiety, if you will, with panic attacks, all of that. But I'm not pushing anything that I did or that I feel onto you. Cool? Cool. So when I was a senior in high school, everyone is graduating, knows where they want to go, knows what they want to do. Their whole life is planned out. That wasn't me. One thing about me, even though I wasn't an anxious child, I really wasn't good at making decisions. Decision making to this day is a weakness. Kellen is sweet enough to not make me feel bad and to help me kind of try to turn that into a strength of mine. But I really am, I either don't care about the decision being made, so I'm like, oh, you go ahead. Like I mask it as I'm laid back, but to be perfectly honest, I just don't like making decisions. But the thing is, it's rooted in fear. I'm so afraid of making the wrong decision that I don't make any. But how many of you know from experience like me that not making a decision makes a whole lot of decisions, and generally ones that you never wanted to make in the first place? But anyways, it was senior year. Everyone knew what they were doing, knew where they were going, and I wasn't really sure. I've always been someone who's been interested in a lot of different things, and I also never saw myself with this set career path, being the CEO or this boss woman. I really wanted to get married. I wanted to be a wife and a mom, and I hoped that some sort of job or career would kind of be birthed out of that life, rather than being the career woman and fitting in a husband. I was like, well, I just want to be the family person and fit in a career or do something that's a family business. That was always just my passion. So when everyone's deciding what they want to be and what they want to do, and I went to school with a lot of really strong women, which is great, I just didn't fit in with that group. So it was hard for them to relate to me and vice versa. And I wasn't the only one. I think a lot of people, maybe some of you, if you're approaching the end of high school, even college, did I get the right degree? Do I know why I want to go to college? What I want to go to college for? And when you're younger, it feels like 4 years, when you've only experienced like 16 to 18 years of life, is a significant chunk of time. And then you get older and you're like, man, that flew by. It's not that big of a deal. But I remember just being really, really feeling the pressure of, I need to make a decision. There's an expiration date, aka graduation, and everyone's applying years before, and I just was like, I just don't know. I felt frozen. And so that kind of built, because the thing is, even though I was stuck, the world was still going. So this was, and again, like I had experienced, there's some really terrible people that I went to high school with, terrible girls that really tried to ruin my life. and set me up to look bad and to ruin friendships and relationships. And so I kind of had dealt with it a little bit on a smaller scale, but it wasn't debilitating. If you've ever had panic attacks or anxiety attacks, they're debilitating, and you feel as though you are having a heart attack or going to die in that moment. And basically, I just one day, I think it was our senior trip to Knott's Berry Farm, or not Knott's Berry Farm, Six Flags, which is like an amusement park, and I love rides. That's my kind of thing. I've always really enjoyed that, and I was there, and I just instantly, like, I couldn't breathe. It felt like panic, you know what I mean? I panicked because I couldn't breathe, my chest was tight, I was freaking out. And ironically, one of my best friends was going through a very similar thing. It was not a buddy-buddy thing. It was not oh, this is so cool, we're both having this. We were both really suffering. We didn't talk about it with each other. It wasn't like a pal thing. It was just, I'll tell you why I bring her up later. But it was debilitating. So that was the first one. And then they kept getting more and more intense and more progressive. And generally, like one time we were shopping, my mom and I were in the mall, and it was just the amount of people, and I got overwhelmed, which I do get overwhelmed, but never to this extent. I got overwhelmed, full panic attack. I freaked out, I shut down, I couldn't breathe. My mom's like, do I need to take you to the emergency room? Like, what do you want me to do? She was freaking out because I was like, I can't breathe, and I can't talk, and you just can't function. And the worst ones got to be at night. So I would go to bed at night, and it wasn't, and if you've ever had this, you know what I mean, and if you don't, I'm so glad you've never had this, but literally laying there and trying to go to sleep, and then all of a sudden feeling literally a physical hand around my throat, slowly just squeezing it, throat tightening, feeling like I'm getting choked out, and then literally like a sumo wrestler or the biggest weight or anchor or anvil, you know, anvils that they would drop on the Roadrunner. It felt like someone was slowly just like pressing into my chest. I couldn't breathe, and then you start to panic because you're like, I'm going to die. I cannot breathe. Something is literally sucking the life out of me, pushing me down into the earth, through my mattress, like I'm being pushed into hell. It is the worst feeling. I remember being, 18, 19 and getting in bed with my mom. Like when I could finally like take a breath, I would get up and I would go into my mom's room, and she would be like, are you okay? And I'm like, can I just lay with you? And I literally, she's a petite woman, as a grown woman, 5'6", 5'7" at the time, I would just like get next to her, because there's just something about your parent that makes you feel more secure. And it was debilitating for months and months. The thing that I can say is, if you experience anxiety, whether it's as intense as panic attacks or anxiety attacks, or if it is just that really, just that hovering anxiety throughout the day, I think the shame really tries to come on you to be like, well, why are you stressed about X, Y, or Z? Why are you having anxiety? Especially those of us who are Christians, it's kind of like, well, he's supposed to be your peace. Like, what's wrong with you? That's so not a Christ view of the situation. Just because we get saved, just because we have Jesus, just because we have a relationship with God, does not make us exempt from the attacks of the world. It just means that we have someone on our side and that we're not fighting it alone. But it doesn't mean that we aren't going to encounter it. Some of us may never, which is great. We all have our own different battles, but just because we are, just because we claim a faith and because we have a relationship doesn't mean like, oh, guess what? We don't have to go through anything. Otherwise, everyone would be on our side and believe what we believe. But that's not the case. So I felt a lot of shame initially, because I was like, dang, well, if I really had a relationship with God, if I was really close to God, if I was really, I wouldn't be feeling this. Like, just rebuke it. Why not? Why can't I in those moments? Why am I not even thinking about praying in those moments? Well, the thing is, in those moments, I'm thinking about survival. I'm not thinking about like, you're not in a clear enough mind to be like, okay, I'm just going to get on my knees and pray. You're like, I need a breath. I need oxygen in my lungs. I need it to go to my brain. I need it to tell my central nervous system to calm down. Like I need to live. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think especially it's gotten worse and worse and worse with social media. I don't know if you guys have seen the stories, but even pastors now, due to intense anxiety, intense panic attacks, intense depression, pastors are taking their own lives. So there's no shame in this. It's more powerful than us. If we could combat these things on our own, we would. Those of us who really experience anxiety and who aren't just using it as like, I don't know why anyone would use it to just like get attention, but those of us who don't do that and have never done that, if you could get free of it on your own, you would. There's no reason why you would want to feel like you're going to die nightly or daily or whatever triggers it. That's the worst feeling. That's not fun. So if you could set yourself free, you would set yourself free, right? And the reason why I brought up my friend in the beginning and said we started having him at the similar time is that I really think that there are two paths when you start having anxiety, severe anxiety. One path is medication because, again, I'm not a doctor. There are neurological reasons and chemical imbalances and things that I don't understand and that some people really do, I'm sure, they really benefit from being on medication. So I'm not saying if you're on meds, get off. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying for me, and looking at a friend of mine and myself, we went down two very different paths when it came to our panic attacks and our anxiety. She went more of the doctor route. Again, no judgment at all. And the only way that she could cope and the only way that she could calm down and the only way that she could get power over it was to give power to a pill. And again, there's no shame in that. There's no judgment in that at all. I'm grateful that I had a support system. I'm grateful that I had a relationship with God, because the thing is, we all have things that have power and control over us. And so we're partnering with things all day. I think it's a little naive to think that we have control over much. You know, I don't have control over how much longer I live. I can be a good steward of my body, of my mind. I can eat well, I can exercise, I can, keep myself out of harm's way and have wisdom, but I don't know when my time is up here. I hope it's really long from now, but I don't know. I could play God and take myself out of this world, but I would never want to do that. If it were, you know what I mean? I don't know when the end is either way. But it's just really interesting to kind of step back and look at, okay, well, every day we partner with something or some power in our life or with our life. So for me, when I was having these panic attacks and the anxiety attacks, I think I was really more partnering with anxiety than I was partnering with God and His will for my life, if I'm being perfectly honest, just me. I didn't want to take medication because I had heard, I never really experienced it, but I have extended family members that have addictions, and I had heard like it's very addictive, and I'm like, well, I don't want to give my power to someone else. I don't want to be addicted to something. And I just was getting so sick and tired of being sick and tired that I was like, okay, you know what? I want to give my power to the person who has endless power and who's not going to use their power over me, but will partner with me to give me the power to overcome something that I can't do by myself. And so that's really when I kind of, again, like I didn't talk about it very much last week, but again, like when I really started being like, okay, God, I really need you in my life. Like I really want you. I can't do this by myself. Like I'm thinking I'm doing it by myself, but really what I'm doing is I'm partnering with all these negative things that are trying to kill me and bring me death. I was talking this last week with some girlfriends, and we were talking about how there really are no neutral moments in life. There's no moment where you're just sitting at a neutral place. every moment in life, everything you do, every person you come in contact with is either pulling you towards God or away from God. And so if you are someone, again, you know I'm a Jesus person, so a lot of what I'm going to talk about, obviously, I know not all of you are Christians, but I'm a Jesus person. It's, oh my God, he's the love of my life and he has set me free, so I can't not talk about him. It would just be doing everyone a disservice, including myself, to lie to you. But that being said, it was like, okay, Jesus, you went to the cross. Doesn't make sense. You took all of this with you, and it died with you on the cross. Doesn't make sense. Not claiming that this is a normal thing to believe. All I can tell you is that it freaking works. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I want to partner with you. I don't want to partner with this. I don't want to feel out of control. I don't want to feel like I don't have power over my own life. That's not a good feeling. You want to feel in control, and not in a bad controlling way of the fear of being out of control, but I just want to like be a powerful person and have control over my life. And so my friend, unfortunately she had over a decade-long relationship with medication because of that. And she wanted to get off for so long, and even the people that loved her the most encouraged her not to do it. She got to a place where she's like, I really don't want to be on this. I don't want to be under the power of this medication any longer. And even the people that loved her, they were so afraid because they didn't know how to deal with her off of it, that they just encouraged her to stay on it. Which is, and again, you have to go through your doctor. You have to be really careful. But the thing is, like, once you're connected to something that deeply, it's kind of like a breakup. Once you've been with someone for 10 years, a clean break is pretty hard to do, because you almost need them to function every single day. They're such a part of your DNA. So it was really hard for her to get off. And I look at where we are now and the peace that I found. And now she's finding her own peace, which is amazing. But I just look at so many people, so many of my friends who need medication, or who don't realize the severity of what the door will open. And they're like, well, I'm just feeling a little stressed out, so I think I need this or that. It's just, there's something that's not freedom. That is a temporary band-aid on a wide open wound. It might slow the bleeding, but it's not going to patch you up. It's not going to seal the wound. You're still open to infection and other outside things coming in. So again, not a doctor, not telling you if you have anxiety, get off your meds, don't take meds. I'm just saying for myself, I just really wanted to find a different way. And so I, again, am really grateful that I had a support system, that I had my relationship with God to walk through it with me, so I was never alone. So basically how I kind of got through, because I don't have panic attacks at all anymore. There are small moments once a year maybe when I can feel one wanting to come on, and I haven't had one in, a good 8 years now. And I attribute that to a couple things, one of which is I made a plan for what I was going to do before I got there. So I wasn't waiting until a panic attack hit and then was like, oh shoot, what do I do? I was like, okay, you know what? When it happens, because I'm not going to be naive and pretend that it's never going to happen. When it happens, this is what I'm going to do. As soon as I start to feel it, I'm just going to kick into, I have the power through Jesus. I can do this. This thing, basically I just started seeing it as, this is going to sound funny, guys, but I don't care. We're all friends, so I'm going to tell you anyway. Do you remember in Mulan, when Mushu the dragon, the first time they see each other, and he's this huge shadow, and he just looks massive, fire-breathing dragon, really intense. And then she gets closer, and what it was is it was a projected image. So it was his shadow, but really he's like this tiny little thing. I just had this vision of like, dang, anxiety, this demon of anxiety that's trying to choke me out and get rid of me is this big. But in my mind, in those moments, I'm not looking him straight in the eye. I'm looking at his shadow, if that makes sense. And so I was like, you know what? The next time this comes, I'm not going to partner with anxiety. I'm not going to give in to I can't breathe, I can't do this. I'm not going to speak those things. I'm not even going to think those things. When this happens the next time, I am going to come at it from a position of power. I'm going to rebuke it. If all I can say over and over is Jesus, 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 well, guess what? Jesus loves me. I know what he says about me. I am his daughter. And guess what? This thing is terrified of Jesus, because Jesus has already kicked this guy's ass. So that's what I kind of made a plan before I even got there again. Another thing that really helps if you have anxiety, maybe not even to the level of anxiety attacks, but a lot of it is mental. For me, a lot of it was mental. And so what I did is I wrote a lot of gratitude lists. The moment I started feeling the stress or the anxiety, again, not a panic attack, that's a little bit more extreme, and in those moments you can't always write things down. But when you're feeling like, I'm feeling really anxious, really, I can't calm down, I'm just like have anxiety, sitting down and physically, or even in your phone, writing down a gratitude list, even if the only thing you can think of is, I'm still here, the sun is out, it's raining, whatever it is, start writing things down. The more that they start flowing to you, the more, like, I have a job. Even if you hate your job, guess what? So many people would love to have a job that they hated, but they're unemployed and they have nothing. But the more that you start writing down things, that you're grateful for, it really does. Anxiety, I think, is rooted in fear, and gratitude and fear can't live in the same place. One is coming from love and one is coming from fear, and perfect love casts out fear. So they can't coexist. So gratitude lists are huge. If you don't want to write one every day, write one down and read it every day. I swear it helps. The other thing that I will say that is so helpful in overcoming anxiety, make a list of what's making you anxious and see if there's any way that you can restructure your life to get rid of it. I know social media is a huge, I literally can't say huge enough, conduit for anxiety, and especially women, but in young people and our whole generation, even old people, let's be honest, even up to very mature, seasoned people. Social media gives us anxiety. If we're not getting the likes, the comments, if so-and-so didn't like it, if someone is looking at it that you don't want to look at it, or is my ex still checking up on me? Is this girl, how does she look? Is it, whatever it is, it's bringing so much anxiety. Give yourself boundaries. Set your timer on your phone that tells you when you've spent an hour on Instagram and don't go on again. Having those boundaries with yourself, like, love yourself. I can't say that enough. Love yourself. If you don't love yourself, how will anyone else love you? If you don't have your own standards and boundaries, how are you going to attract someone who's going to make you feel the way you want to feel? It really is important to identify the areas or the things that are making you feel the weight and making you feel anxious and making you feel not good enough and stressed out and depressed, whatever it is, even down to music. Like, one thing for me, I can't listen to a lot of pop music, to be honest with you, because none of the messages are very good, and I might love the catchy tune. I can't think of one right now, but I might love the song and know all the words, and they're not like innately bad, but singing that over my life over and over brings me anxiety. You know what I mean? So much of our music is about sex or relationships that are not in covenant and don't last and won't last. It's like, hey, can I come over to your hotel room? Or, I want you to want me. But what it's all saying is, like, validate me, validate me, validate me, validate me. Like, validate my flesh, validate my need for affection, validate my worth, validate. And so when I listen to that kind of stuff, that undertone, even though it's not literally saying that, it gets in here. I can't even express it. Sometimes it's social media. I actually don't follow very many people for the purpose of, I don't need to know what that many people are doing in their lives. It's not, sorry, got a little, I hit a glitch. But anyway, I don't follow a ton of people even on Instagram. It's not that I don't like them. It's just that it will eventually give me anxiety. If there's anyone that follows me that is feeling bad or worse about themselves or comparing themselves, or if in any way something that I'm doing is triggering anxiety, stop following me. It's not worth it. It really isn't worth it. So I don't follow everybody even I know, because it doesn't make me happy. It doesn't, in real life, communication is a completely different thing than social media. So yeah, I just would really recommend, make a list. You're starting to feel anxious, write down what's making you feel anxious and see if you can restructure your life to get rid of those things. If it's a friendship, it might be hard. And you might not want to cut it off right at once, and that might add a little more anxiety. But just those small decisions, I forgot what it said, but there was a quote that I read the other day. That was basically like, I gotta remember it now. But something about basically, we think that the small decisions won't really matter, and we think the big decisions, I don't know, I gotta figure it out. But basically, the small decisions that you make every day lead up to your whole quality of life. And we think that these huge, massive decisions have such little impact, and it's like, or have the more impact, but really it's those small little ones that have an impact every day. And, you know, there's a verse in the Bible in Philippians that says, be anxious for nothing. But in prayer and supplication, hold on, I have it up here, with thanksgiving. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, goes back to gratitude, let your requests be known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, and it does, the peace of God that surpasses all understanding when you have a loved one that passes away. The peace of God surpasses all understanding when someone dumps you. The peace of God that surpasses all understanding when you don't get the job you want. You can be sad and be at peace. You know, I wrote that, I think, in a Q&A a month ago. I lost both of my grandparents in January. The best people I knew, they lived long, healthy lives, which was great, but they both just decided to stop living. My grandma first, and 2 weeks later, my papa. And it's devastating. But you know what? Even in the midst of like the tears and the sorrow, I was at perfect peace. There's gonna be grief, there's gonna be moments in life, but you can have peace in the middle of all that, rather than that torment like I was talking about of the panic attacks. But anyways, the end of that verse, the peace of God which surpasses all understanding will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. And then a lot in Bibles, you know how, if you've ever read a Bible, sometimes things are separated and then you just stop and you don't go to the next one. I really think that things are meant to be continued right into the next one, because right after it says, finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, are lovely, are of good report, if there is any virtue and if there is anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. And that's how I really try to live my life. If there's anything before me that isn't pure, that isn't, and you know what? For some people, maybe it doesn't bother you. For some people, you might be like, that's legalistic, that's religious. It's really not for me. For me, I just have really strict boundaries with my life. I know what makes me happy and I know what makes me sad. I know what gives me peace and I know what gives me anxiety. And for me, it's like, I go back to that verse all the time where it's like, if I'm meditating on all these things that are pure and praiseworthy and good, I just don't have room for the anxiety. If I leave myself open, like a wide open jar every morning, well, guess what's gonna come flooding in? Generally, a lot of anxiety. Again, I'm not trying to minimalize. If there's like a hard situation that you're going through, you know, parents divorcing, a loved one being sick or dying, that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm more just talking about, which although it can apply to those things, I'm more just talking about that feeling of anxiousness, that feeling of anxiety, that feeling of stress and tightness of the chest and tightness of breath and lack of peace, essentially. That anxiety that just robs you of all peace. When it comes to that, I think that that's where I'm like, oh, my mind is not in the right place. Because I still struggle with anxiety. I was so anxious. I had so much anxiety when I found out Kellen was leaving and I had to do this move by myself. So it's not like I'm exempt from it. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I'm like, you know what? It's gonna be fine. This is the most beautiful thing. I wrote a gratitude list. I'm grateful that Kellen has a job that he loves, that I get to go visit him soon. I'm grateful that we found our dream house. I'm grateful for the sunshine. I'm grateful for the ocean. I'm grateful for Coda, my family. Once I started writing that, I was like, oh, I just don't have room and I don't have the capacity for anxiety anymore. So anyways, okay, I see someone saying what Bible verse? The Bible verse that I just read was Philippians 4:6-9, and that was the and that was the New King James Version, but there are lots of versions. But anyways, okay, so I'm going to scroll back up. That's just kind of like a little bit of my story. Obviously, there's like way more than can even talk about, but I'm going to see here. Let's see here if there's any. Needed this because I had the most. Okay, Millie, you had the longest, most horrible panic attack yesterday. I am so sorry. I know. I love watching what you guys have to say because it's literally the best. But does anyone have any questions as far as my anxiety? Again, I can't really comment on anyone else's anxiety, but that's kind of just my thing. But, thanks, guys. Yes, seek peace, establish it, crave it. It is true. And it says to, also there's a verse in the Bible, I don't know where it is, but it basically says to pursue peace. And it's interesting because it also says, obviously, the enemy roams around seeking who he may destroy, you know. And I feel like when we partner with anxiety, we're doing his work for him. But also it says that basically every negative, every bad thing in this world is pursuing us and trying to get on us. And it meanwhile tells us to pursue peace. It's almost like God and the things of God are so, he's such a gentleman that he's not going to like encroach and like force you to do anything. But yet on the flip side, all the negative things are looking for that perfect moment where they can come in and start pulling the puppet strings on you. God doesn't want a puppet. He wants you to just be sincere with him and honest with him. So it is interesting. It's not the easiest thing. Sometimes you have to like work at it and you have to work for it, but it's worth it every time. Oh, I love you, Elizabeth. Praising helps. Praising God helps a ton. Literally singing praises. It's so true. Well, it's kind of like do I have Bible verses you read or go to specifically for anxiety? I will do a post because I have a lot actually. I will do a post after this live of verses that I go to when I'm feeling anxious or anxiety or a lack of peace, because it's really helpful. And I really recommend, don't just read them out loud, because I think I shared this last week a little bit, which is you can't physiologically think about something that you're not speaking. I can't be speaking to you and thinking about a completely different thought. Your thoughts and your words have to line up. It's just factual. It's science, it's biological. And so when you can't fight a thought with a thought. So when a lot of times anxiety tries to attack our mind, so when your mind is under attack, you can't attack it back with your mind. You'll lose every time, and if you've ever tried it, you know it. Right before you know it, you'll be thinking in your mind and in your heart just positive things and rebuking the anxiety, and before you know it, you're back on that merry-go-round, anxious. But speaking things out is a game changer. Is your anxiety ever related to time? I often have anxiety because I feel like I always need to hurry, even if I'm just making lunch or getting ready. Can you relate? To an extent, yes. When it comes to like work, I tend to get anxious and get a lot of anxiety about not getting there in time, and I'm still like that. I have to really, I listen to like worship music in the car because I'm like 3 hours early and I'm still like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. What if I'm late? What if there's an accident? What if there's this? Well, again, I'm making a decision to partner with anxiety instead of partner with the God of the universe, who's like, hey, you were diligent. You got up early. You gave yourself enough time. Like, I'm going to get you there. Like, do you want to partner with peace or do you want to partner with anxiety? And I'm like, I want to partner with peace. But then that's where it comes where I have to speak it out of my mouth. Like, God, I trust you. I'm going to make it on time. I'm going to be fine. I gave myself enough time. But I think giving yourself a little more grace when it comes to time, as long as you are doing your best. Now, if you are literally just being selfish and choosing, your own timetable over someone else, then of course that's a little bit different. But give yourself some grace. Especially if you don't have a history of blowing people off or being late or, like you said, making lunch. Just try to even like take a step back, take a deep breath, and just be like, I got this, and then going back to it. But sometimes it's time related, but yeah. Something I've learned recently, I've held on to too much anger. It took a breaking point to see I needed to make some changes. Yeah, anger definitely is something that can be a cancer in our life. I didn't even realize how much anger I had about my abusive relationship probably for 8 years. I'm not even kidding, because I am more of like a passive person and just like go with the flow and nothing bothers me and I have no needs and I'm cool, don't worry about it. I didn't realize how much anger I had pent up and how much that was blocking where I wanted to go and how I wanted to feel. And once I finally was like, oh my gosh, I'm really angry. Well, God gets angry in the Bible. Getting angry isn't a sin. It says in the Bible, be angry and sin not, which means like you can be angry. You have every right to be angry, especially if someone hurt you, if they used you, if they abused you. Be angry. Now you probably can't go and like, you know, shoot them. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, don't do that. But I'm just saying, like, you can be angry that someone harmed you in any way. Be angry. Feel those feelings, feel those emotions, because what I realized is I wouldn't let myself feel angry because I didn't think I was worth anything. So I never got mad at being hurt because I was like, well, I'm not really worth it anyway. Like, I'm sure they had their reasons. I'm sure he had his reasons. And then when I finally got angry was when I actually was trying to better myself. Don't be surprised if you try to battle some demons and get better and these things come up and you're like, no, I'm trying to be positive and happy. Why is this anger coming? Well, a lot of times it's because you actually started caring about yourself. You started believing that you are worth it. That's when the anger comes. But just don't be angry, just sin not. So just look for a way to mend your heart. But it's not a bad thing, I think, to feel anger. Yes. Telling God exactly what was on my heart helped me so much, took so much weight off my shoulder. Yeah, he already knows. So just let it go. Tell him everything. If you're mad at him, tell him you're mad at him. He already knows. If you're mad at someone else, whatever it is, he just wants you to talk to him, because then that gives him an opportunity to speak back. And whatever God speaks to you is life-changing. So it's good. You're so wise. Love that about thoughts and spoken words. I didn't know that. Great advice. Yeah, someone told me that and it was a game changer. So as much as you can, like I've even been in restaurants with someone and I'm feeling something and I'm like, oh shoot, I'll be like, oh, excuse me. I'll go to the bathroom and speak out loud to myself. God, I trust you. I'm grateful for this. Like if I start to feel my mind going, I care about my own, because the thing is, I'm the one that goes to bed with myself at night. I'm the one that lays on the pillow. I'm the one that was having those panic attacks. It's me. It's my brain. So I had to stop putting other people ahead of my own health, if that makes sense. Yes. Ellen, you missed the beginning. That's okay. I'm going to post these on YouTube, I believe. We need to give ourselves, yes. Okay, Christina, I could not agree with the sentiment more. We all need to give ourselves and our loved ones a little more grace. Agreed. Yes. Feel and experience emotions, but don't live there. Do not set up camp. Yes. Anger isn't just an emotion. It can be, yep. Thank you for your time chat with us. Even after the big move, you have no idea how much it helps. I look forward to it. I love talking to you guys. It's nice for me because here's the thing. I'm not this like wealth of knowledge who like I don't have anything that will fix your life. I just want to share that common denominator that has really helped me with a lot of things, which is my relationship with God. And you know, I just think we all have different strengths and different weaknesses, and if some of my strengths are your weaknesses, then great. Maybe something I say or some sort of connection we have will help you out. And I guarantee majority of you have so many more strengths than I do, which when you send me messages, when you ask me these questions, or when you share your experiences, it literally strengthens me and strengthens my faith and my weaknesses. So I can't thank you enough. We're like literally all in this together. No one is like better or more valuable than anyone else. So it's incredible. So I just love that I get to come on here and that we get to do this every week. Even though it's only week 2, I think next week I'll be coming to you guys from New York, which would be really exciting. East Coast. But I'm going to go visit Kellen, so I'm happy about that. I'm super happy. Let's see here. Jesus fixes everything. We just need to let him. Yep. Easier said than done, but that is a very true statement. Going back to what you said earlier, in my Sunday school lesson this past Sunday, it was talking about how God brings you through fire to make you stronger. It is true. He refines us. My mom was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer right as I was getting back into church. My anxiety was out of control, but believing in God and praying when I'm stressed has helped a lot. I'm so sorry that is your mom still battling cancer? Is she still going through lung cancer? My grandfather went through that, and it was really, really hard, very hard. Cancer is the absolute worst, and it just doesn't make sense to me. It's the worst thing ever, but we'll be praying for you. Definitely lifting up your mama in prayer too. His power is made perfect in our weakness. Heck yes. I often am like, okay, where do I end? Because the moment I end, then he can jump in and take over, and then failure is not even an option for him. So I'm like, the quicker that I can just be at my capacity, then he can take over and everything's gonna be great. So it's kind of like almost being excited about your weakness, having that perspective shift of like, oh, I don't need to be perfect. The more I can identify what my limitation is, that is so freaking exciting, because I know, like, perfect, I just have to hit this mark and then he can just take over the rest, which is cool. I love this time so much. You really make me feel less alone and speak what I need to hear. I am starting out in my relationship with Jesus and hope I grow as close as you are. Aw, is it Allie? I think that's your name. We love you, and a relationship with Jesus is very exciting, and I'm so happy to have you a part of the fam bam. It's very cool. I love all of yous. She's going through chemo. We were told she has a year to live, but her latest scan showed the cancer is almost gone. What? Oh my gosh. Well, let's just pray right now and believe. I don't know your mom's name, but beach vibes. I don't even know your name, but let's just declare it healing, complete and total healing over your mom, and that every cell of cancer, every root and remnant would just be burned up right now in the name of Jesus, so that she would not have a year, but she would have the rest of her life with her family in Jesus' name. After my breaking point, I was in a bad place for a few days. Emotional wreck is an understatement. I was sobbing on the phone with my mom, and she made me realize how much I put God out of my life. And I think the thing too is when you have those breaking points and you're really, because I've had multiple breaking points, trust me. And then sometimes someone will come in and be like, oh, you know what, you should like turn to God, you should pray, you should do this. And then all of a sudden the enemy wants to come in and make us feel bad and feel shame of like, oh, I didn't realize how far away I was from God. And then you start to feel kind of bad about yourself. And that's just, if you can get past that part and just be like, okay, that's not of God either, and just go to him, it just is such a game changer. Love how relatable these chats are. Definitely helps to hear similar experiences. That's the thing I love about this too, and I love you guys sharing your stories that we can all read and share, because there's really, the people and the situations might be different, maybe not, but the circumstances, like the spiritual stuff, the weightiness, the heaviness, it's all the same. You know what I mean? And if you hear someone else got through it, it just gives you that hope, like, well, shoot, if all these girls got through it, I can too. Maybe it won't look the same, but the end result can be the same, which is so exciting. Oh gosh, I think it's gonna kick me off in 10 minutes. We think it's not, but it is. That's why he's our rock. It's okay to be a hot mess. It is. Just don't stay a hot mess, and don't celebrate the hot mess. I feel like too many people are like, oh, I'm an emotional wreck, and it's like a point of funniness, and it's like, no, you don't have to be an emotional wreck. You can laugh at yourself or be like, oh man, there are mornings I wake up and I'm like so puffy. I'm like, yeah, I had a little breakdown last night, but you know what? Woke up, got that out of my system, life is good again. I don't celebrate the breakdown, but I do celebrate the breakthrough that the breakdown might bring. That's for sure. Barbara and Angie. Angie, we will be, Angie, yes, we've talked before. Angie, we will be praying for you and your mama for sure. This is exciting. Ellen, can you share a quick prayer request? Heck yeah, you can. Absolutely. I'm gonna do a post this week. I just got a little busy, but I'm gonna do a post this week where we can all put our prayer requests underneath it. And I really I encourage us all to just check into that page. And it's really powerful when you really are going through something and need prayer to look up someone else's prayer request and start praying for them. There's just something so powerful about taking your eyes off of your almost your requests and your problems and putting your faith for someone else. I just think that really makes you irresistible to God, to be honest with you. I've been in a church since I was 3. I'm 19 now and still don't have a good relationship with God. This Instagram is the best thing I found so far. A, I'm so sorry that this Instagram is the best that you've seen so far, but B, I totally get it. Honestly, I hate to say this, but if we can have real talk right now, a lot of churches miss the mark. The people aren't that great. I think I talked about it a little bit last week. I hated Christians for a long time. I was like, God, you're cool, but I don't like your people. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. I can't choose one and not the other because we're his kids and we need each other. But I think that I think some of it is, I don't know how to say it. I think some of it is intentional. I think a lot of it is unintentional. I think people are afraid to be authentic in church because there's some weird thing that says, oh, when you get saved, you have to be perfect, or you have to be a good example, or you have to always be a pillar of victory and success. And that's just not right. The church is literally just us. Like, do you guys realize that we're having church right now? We're like lifting up the name of Jesus. We're having communication with one another. We're encouraging each other. Like, this is church. We're having church on Tuesday night. Yes. Could you do a week about drug addiction? You know what? I feel like there are other people actually out here, probably yourself included, maybe, that have more of a background with it and information. I do have extended family members that have addiction, but it's never been really close to me, other than like cigarettes and whatnot. But I will definitely look into someone who maybe has more knowledge than me. I would love to have someone on with me and to talk about that kind of stuff. I think that would be really cool. We love you, Brittany. So happy for all you accomplish, and thank you for always being so nice. Love feeling. Well, thank you guys. You guys are the nice ones. Shoot. I just pop on here. You don't even have to come. You don't even have to show up, but you do, and I appreciate you. God put us in this journey, the hard journey, because we know He knows that we can get out of it. We just need Him, and we need each other, and we got this. My brother died. Yes. I know. You guys are so great. I'll look into maybe someone who has more knowledge about drug addiction, because I would hate to, I don't feel like I have enough experience or enough really opinion, other than I think it's demonic, awful, and horrific. I mean, I just don't have as much knowledge with it. My anxiety mostly comes at night when I must remember God is my protector and has given me the ability to protect myself. Also, so blessed by this conversation after a crummy day. I'm sorry that you had a crummy day. I'll be praying for you guys tonight. Try listening to the breakup song by Francesca Battistelli, Declaring That Feel Doesn't Own Us. That is a great song. That is a great song. I love that song. What a great idea. My anxiety comes at night also as I'm going to bed. My mind goes through every possible scenario. Someone breaking in, a fire. I get it. I used to do that too, actually. That used to happen to me a lot. And the one thing that kind of helped me is, even like if I was in bed, I literally would sit up. I'd have a notebook and a pen and I still do, actually. I still sleep every night with a notebook and a pen next to me. And if because sometimes you're too tired to really do like a serious prayer. You're in that dreamlike state, kind of, but all the bad stuff is still running through your head. I will make myself get up and I'll pray, but that's where I'll do a gratitude journal and I'll just write down things I'm grateful for. I also, when that's happening, I will put on worship songs. Like, there are specific worship songs. I'll do another post about those too, because I love them. I have a playlist, and I'll just let it play loud enough to where all I can hear is the music. Sometimes I need to put headphones in so I don't wake up Kellen. But I definitely, I get that. I totally get that. See you later. Thank you for starting this group. It's real and honest and spreads love and hope, and I love your passion for Jesus. Thank you, Angie. You are so sweet. This Thursday, I have an MRI scheduled to make sure that my multiple sclerosis isn't progressing. I've been on a medication for almost 2 years now, and my scans have been clear, but I still get anxious. Ellen, we will be praying for you. We just declare clear scans in Jesus' name, a clear MRI reading, and no progression. And I just pray for a complete healing from multiple sclerosis, that when you go back to the doctor, and maybe you'll even know it, that will be just gone, because we need you to be healthy and good. Some are taught incorrectly too. Yeah, when it goes back to church, some is intentional, some is ignorance. The bottom line is we all will go to heaven and have to take account for everything that we've said or done throughout this life. So those pastors, those Christians that are not treating you well, they're going to have to stand before God, and he's literally going to look them in the face and be like, you had people leave your church because of you and how you treated people, or how you spoke, or whatever. You don't want to get to heaven and God be like, well, why were you so bitter? You knew that they were flawed. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I still have to work out in myself, is like, wait, I don't want to get to heaven and God be like, why were you so angry? You knew they weren't perfect. You chose to hold on to bitterness. And then I'm like, fine, you're right. He's too right. I was telling my husband about your treadmill analogy from last week. No matter how far you think you've run, you've never gained any ground on God. It's true. It's so true. I'd love to do one. That would be great. Maybe me and you can do like a split screen and talk about addiction, because I would love to be more, I would love to ask you some questions, and I would love to just get more knowledge about it. It's going to kick me off in 3 minutes. I know I'm not alone. It's a feeling that I'm experiencing. I also believe it might be my wilderness experience, if that makes sense. Heck yeah, I get it. Sometimes it is that wilderness experience where we feel so alone, but God is bringing us through the fire or bringing us through something so that we can like really attach to him. Last week I had a beautiful worship playlist in the background. Would you ever share it? I will make a worship playlist and share it with you guys. Heck yes. Any tips on studying the Bible? I get overwhelmed and never know where to start. I honestly would recommend starting in Matthew. The New Testament, I think, is so interesting. It's easier to read. It's all about the life of Jesus, and he's just so, he's nuts. He's like crazy, and he's not, let me put it this way. If you're only experience or I don't even know what to say. Like if your only picture or whatever of Jesus is maybe the church you grew up in, I really would recommend starting in Matthew and reading Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, because he's like, Jesus is nuts sometimes. And he's not cookie cutter, that's for sure. Let's see here. Oh my gosh, Angie. When I was 13, my youth pastor told me I was going to hell because I was too shy to pray out loud. I doubted Christianity for a long time after that. I cannot believe the things people say. I literally can't. I am so sorry that anyone in a position of authority ever said that to you. You know what? The sad thing is, he had never met Jesus. There's too many people out there that are speaking on his behalf who don't even know him, and it's just nuts to me. Oh my gosh, 2 minutes. Oh, you are so sweet, Millie. Okay, pray you guys out again, because it'll be gone in 1 minute, so I'll do it fast. Lord, thank you so much for this beautiful Tuesday night, or whatever day it is, wherever they are in the world. God, I just thank you for this amazing group of women, and I just pray, Father, that through this group and through all of us women connecting to one another, that we can just get breakthrough, Father, that we can partner with you and partner with each other, that we can just get set free once and for all, especially from anxiety, what we talked about today, God. Even though we're going to experience it here and there, I just pray that looming just heaviness in that cloud would not be the norm, that would be a passing cloud rather than us standing underneath it for too long. And I just pray that these women would have an amazing week, and we just lift up Barbara, and we just declare complete healing over her. And I think it was Ellen who had an MRI coming up, and we just speak healing over her too in Jesus' name. And it's about to kick me off in 1 minute and 15 seconds. I love you guys so much. All of that I pray in Jesus' name, amen. And next week, I have no idea what we're going to talk about next week. If anyone has any thoughts, let me know. Maybe we can do the drug addiction one next week. But I will be in New York, and I don't know how busy I'll be. So maybe we can just do more of like a casual chat where I don't have a specific thing I'm talking about. Maybe we can just like hang out with each other. you tell me what you think. But anyways, I will be posting these lives on YouTube so you guys can check them out again, or if you missed it or missed the beginning or whatever, I'm going to post these on YouTube. So as you can see, it's getting dark, the sun is setting, it's going to kick me off in 20 seconds, but I love you guys so much. Thanks for hanging out with me and for just blessing my heart so much. Just hearing you guys and your experiences are incredible. So I love you guys, and I will see you next Tuesday. Bye, guys.